United we start. We explore the New World Order, finance, science, health and other subjects in our group discussions of activists, bloggers, authors and other leaders in the independent media to inform and educate listeners on various topics. Join us the second Saturday of the month at 10 to 12 a.m. Pacific Time, 18 to 20 hours GMT. Looking forward to meeting you.
Hello everyone and welcome to the United We Start Roundtable with myself, Alan James from Open Your Mind Radio and Circle of White Light Radio. It's September the 12th. October the 12th, 2019. Isn't time flying? That's the thing. Time is flying. Welcome to United We Start Roundtable. And you have with us on the roundtable tonight, you have Matt Navarro from the New World Order Report, you have Detlef from Wake News, and you have Michael from Wake News Radio. Good evening, chaps. How's everybody this evening?
Excellent, Alan. How about you?
Not too bad. Right. Okay. Do you want to go around the table and just say hello, give out your details there, and then we'll get cracking and talking about the things that are going on in the world at the moment that's driving everybody mad.
Yeah, so I'll go. This is Matt Navarro from the United States. My website is nwodor.com, nwodor.com. My podcast is the New World Order Report, though for the last couple of years I've been taking a break from doing that. But you'll still find some great podcasts on the podcast archive page if you jump in there. A lot of great health information. That kind of information never gets old. World-class doctors from all over the world, naturopaths and osteopaths. A lot of information about the background of the New World Order. We have a lot of good information. Get up there, listen to it. It's a library of knowledge to help you out, and I'm glad to be part of this roundtable every second Saturday of the month.
Brilliant. Detlef.
Yeah, hi, thank you. This is Detlef here of Wake News Radio, Wake News TV. I'm producing the show as usually, and after we are finished with our show, you will find this on our website, UNITEDWESTART.org. as a podcast archive, and later on also as videos on our different video channels. Well, usually we do have German broadcasting going on, but as we are also thinking we are dealing internationally, we have introduced this roundtable discussion in order to spread the news, which we also have here in the German-speaking area worldwide. So I'm very glad that you chaps are part of this, and wishing you well. That's what we want. Okay, will we pass on to Michael?
We'll pass on to Michael. Michael.
Yes. Hello, good evening, everybody. Good evening, fellow human beings. My name is Michael. I'm also with Wake News, and I have a show every last Tuesday of the month in German, mostly German. And my specialty, so to speak, is to talk about the spiritual aspects behind the world as such, and especially behind some political affairs that are going on worldwide. I talk usually about secret societies and secret services and all their dirty games and their trickery business, what they're doing. And I want to expose all this because human beings shouldn't be slaves of a group of other people. And my view of justice is that everybody is equal, and the Creator has created everybody equal. So that is my approach, how I see a nice living together of human beings, a nice social structure that should be based on equality.
Okay, right, gentlemen. the world as we know it is going a bit mad. Now, it's been going mad for a long time, but I think at this stage, there's a lot more going on with everything that's happening around the world. There seems to be a tightening of freedom of speech. We are seeing a lot of this over in Ireland at the moment, where the far left are just attacking everybody who has a difference of opinion to their belief system. And it's very obvious what's going on. Some of these people from the far left are obviously being supported by maybe big corporate, maybe other sinister entities in the background somewhere. But on a global scale, I'm sure that's probably happening as well. We also have obviously what Trump is doing at the moment over in the Ukraine, pulling out troops from there, and what Turkey are doing, and obviously what's happening in California with they're blaming the wildfires, but I think up to 1 million or 800,000 people were having no power, and they're even shutting down the ham radio repeaters in California. And there's a host of other things. In Japan, they just had a major typhoon, which affected the rugby over there. So people were asked to evacuate from the certain areas in Japan where the typhoon was being hit. And, just a number of issues that are going on. So where do we want to start, chaps? What subject do we want to get into?
Well, it's interesting that you say the left over in Europe is clamping down on free speech. And I don't want to say encouraging to hear, but it's good to hear that it's not just here in the United States that's occurring. Here in the United States, you can't even speak poorly about China, or you can't even support Taiwan or Hong Kong without having some kind of backlash. Or if you might say something like in New York, where they want to, they're a sanctuary city for illegal aliens now because of Mayor de Blasio. New York, it's illegal to say, get this, illegal alien, because I guess it's offensive to the people here in our country illegally. So now you can be fined up to $250,000 to if you call someone an illegal alien, as if you were to call them a racial slur of some kind. That's the craziness going on in the United States. And that's how they're trying to shut down speech in the United States. So that if we're hearing that occurring in Europe, means to our audience that this is not a localized phenomenon. This is a global phenomenon, as I've been reporting for the last 26 years or so on the internet, that this is the new world order and it stinks. And I'm glad we get together in these roundtables so that we can share this information, so that we know that it's not just in our neighborhood that you're called a transphobe if you don't like, drag queens reading transgender stories to, kindergartners.
Yeah, so definitely. There's an awful lot going on, and again, it shows signs of desperation from the cabal and the deep state that they're trying to implement so much. I want to just give you a quick example. Over here in Europe, years ago we had a TV program on Sky TV on one of the channels. I think it was Conscious TV, was On the Edge, and the presenter was a guy called Theo Chalmers. Now Theo is going to be on my show in a few weeks' time, and to think back at the time, going back probably 10 years, where you could switch on Sky TV and watch alternative information on Sky. Today is just such a novelty factor to do that. But they shut all that down. They shut Conscious TV down, and they shut On the Edge down. They shut it all down because, too many people are kind of waking up to what's going on. And even the BBC this morning, the BBC News in the UK, was saying they're getting very concerned because a lot of whispers are going on with mothers and fathers at the school gates about the dangers of vaccines. Now, any TV company or media company has to have impartiality, right? They have to have impartiality. They can't be just one-sided. But where was the counter-argument to that? To say, and this is why they're saying, it's great to see the media companies like Facebook and Google clamping down and stopping anti-vaccine information. But where's the counter argument to that? they're supposed to be impartial. And this is why we say to people, the media is full of fake news and they're just promoting their own agenda, and that's why I don't even waste my time doing it. So but over to you, Detlev, or Michael, whoever wants to take the reins there and go into the restrictions of freedom of speech.
Yeah,
well, oh yeah, go ahead.
No, please go.
All right. Well, I say about the ideals of the left, I think the left completely should close their shop, because they have been traitors to their own cause. In olden times, the left was standing for social justice and equality and for free speech. But now they're completely mouthpiece of the cabal. So when I look at Antifa and what else is there? Nothing left. Of the old left is nothing left, so to speak. And they're traitors to their own ideals. They lost their humanist basis. And they're completely in Germany, what they say, gleichgeschaltet. That means they'll be completely under the order of the cabal and completely a mouthpiece of these people. So they have no more substance. So that's what I would completely say. They should close the shop, go away, and feel ashamed and go inside the left corner, probably. That's what I think about the left.
Yeah, thank you, Michael, and everybody else. Well, did you know about the Extinction Rebellion? It just came up a few weeks ago. The Extinction Rebellion. Wow. And if you get some information about this group of people who are trying to be violent, in order to get the CO2 hoax propaganda through, increasing taxes. That's basically behind that. And you investigate a little bit into this group. This group is not only violent, but is getting paid by a group which has been founded by George Soros.
Oh, listen, can I just jump in there, Detlev? I heard a speech from some nutcase woman saying something about CO2 and about you have to eat your babies. Is that the same kind of group?
Yes. Yeah.
She was beaten. I think that came out of a Elizabeth Warren conference, or one of the candidates for running for president here in the United States was confronted by a woman who
Cortez,
was trolling her to see, to show the hypocrisy or the outrageousness of the left's agenda by saying, hey, maybe we should eat babies to save the planet. I think she was just trolling her, but that there was a Swedish doctor who suggested that to cut down on CO2 emissions, we could eat other humans. I don't like the idea of eating grandma when she passes away. That's just not appealing to me.
Yeah. But then you're going into the movie Soylent Green that was made in 1972 with Charlton Heston.
Right.
And, a spoiler alert, at the, Soylent Green, the green that they all want to eat is all dead bodies.
Right.
Somebody back then had enough vision to recognize that at some point humanity might consider eating each other to help save the planet. Sickening what George Soros and the Queen and all these other Rothschild Rockefeller types have come up with, the ideas they come up with, but they're pushing it on us to get us to get those ideas normalized, so at some point our descendants will be receptive to that. Look at how stupid they are now about the climate change. That stupid girl from Europe is telling the United Nations that they're should be ashamed of themselves because they are not doing something about climate change. Well, little girl, can I remind you, climate is always changing. There was a phenomenon called the Ice Age 15,000 years ago. How did all that ice melt? It wasn't from my farts or the cow farts. I tell you that much.
No, definitely not. And Greta Thunberg which is the girl. I don't know whether, if you look very closely, you can see that she's attached to strings and somebody on top is moving the strings. Maybe it's George Soros, you know. But she's just a puppet, this climate change rubbish. And over here in Ireland, they've brought in new laws and new carbon tax, climate change, and they're charging fees on certain things and active immediately, but anything that benefits the people won't be activated till next year. So again, it's another bloody excuse by the government to bring in taxes to tax the people. That's all it is. And what happens is with any government, most governments, because these parasites don't have a clue. They're all followers. They're not leaders. They don't have a clue. They're following a program that's defunct, that doesn't exist anymore. So all they can do is sit around the table, and their solution will always be, let's charge more tax. Because that's all they can do. These people are brain dead. All governments, they're brain dead.
Well, they're not brain dead. They're evil, and that they're trying that here in the United States too. Okay, if you look back all the way back to Agenda 2020, it's agenda to one, depopulate the world. Two, get everybody to move into these urban areas called smart cities, and they want to control where you go and how you get there. So part of this climate change nonsense is control of your mobility, so that you cannot go where you're not supposed to go or you're allowed to go. That's one thing. And then the taxes. Well, the more you tax people, the less they have of their energy to put towards discovering that they're being duped by the government, right? So it's more than just taxes. The taxes is an oppressive mechanism, a slave mechanism, where you take the resources and the energy from that person, and then you confiscate it by the state, and then because he cannot afford to put gas in his car now, he can't go to visit grandma, on Thanksgiving, and that's the kind of control that they're looking for. It goes all the way back to Agenda 2020, but now since Agenda 30, Agenda 20. Now it's Agenda 3030, I think, right? Or 2030.
Yeah,
it's Agenda 2030.
2050 is then the elimination of many people. Okay, but anyways, the issue is that most of the followers seem to be out of control. I mean, there are the people who are getting paid for it, right? Like I said, with the Extinction Rebellion followers. Also, Greta Thunberg or whatever, however you will pronounce it in English, this Swedish girl, her family is basically involved in the New World Order, because the great-grandfather or the great-grandfather of Greta actually invented the climate change hoax. Yeah, so we are this information, and they are also involved in the Peace Prize, the Nobel Peace Prize, because her family was also involved in developing this. So, there's a lot of NWO connection here with Greta Thunberg, and it's clearly the finance or the financing of these groups is also always to be tracked back to George Soros. But George Soros is also just a puppet for the Rothschilds. He is an agent for the Rothschilds. He's just distributing this money out of nothing, this fiat money, which is created by themselves without any worth behind it. It's just, it's just created on your computer or on their computer, not on ours. So they can just, just produce it out of nothing. So, and everybody falls for that, especially the politicians. We have a new scandal here in Switzerland. We will have general election or national elections here in October 20th. And we just found out that George Soros, a group of George Soros Imperium, is financing and is paying Swiss politicians with 1.5 million Swiss francs. So they are buying politicians to get their agenda through. And this is obviously against the current law here, which is, the basic law, which is, the constitution of the Swiss people. So it's a criminal activity by the globalists, like, puppets like George Soros, who have to execute the plans of the bankster families. I mean, the 13 blood families, the bloodlines, right? That's the way it goes, and they are panicking. I think, Alan, you said this. They are panicking because the goals, the objectives, have not yet been reached yet.
Basically the plan with the New World Order was to get rid of us by about 2003. That was their plan, and since then they've tried different things, and every time they've tried to do it, it's failed, and it will carry on failing. And there's a reason why it's going to carry on failing, is because their time is up. Since 2012, since the 1st of January 2013, we won. Right, we won. That was it. That's where the time. That's why even David Wilcox and they were all looking at the looking glass technology, and they couldn't see past 2012. That's why, because it's now our time, not their time, and all their plans, even chemtrails, and even all these viruses. All these viruses that were going, and we're going to be, Ebola and everything else. It's all failed because it's not their time, it's our time. That's why and that's why they're getting desperate, and they're out in it's so blatantly now in your face, because they're getting desperate because all their plans are not working.
Absolutely. I'm of the same opinion, and they are getting weaker and weaker.
Yeah.
Because many more people are waking up. Not sufficiently yet. I mean, we haven't reached the numbers yet. But lots of people are getting the clue, and but still are afraid to speak out and do something about it. But this is just a matter of time, don't you think?
Oh, definitely. Well, look, there's a lot of things supporting us. There's a lot of people are feeling like the energy change is hitting the planet. A lot of people are talking about that. So it's not like subjective, or it's not just something that I'm guessing at. People are saying it to me, and I felt stuff as well, along with a lot of people. So we know what's going on, and the energies are helping the waking up process. And the whole idea, we're going into 2020, and what is 2020? 2020 is 2020 vision. So we're going to see, 2019 was an escalation of things coming out and being revealed. And it's getting to the stage now that people cannot turn away and hide, because it's going to be in their face. The same with we over here in Ireland. As you know, we had the scandal of all the paedophilia with the priests. That was the Rhine report. Now, at one time, that was a conspiracy theory, and people would say, don't be silly. I mean, over here in Ireland, you say, don't be silly, the priests wouldn't do that. And the parents would be happily let their kids go to the priest house because he was a priest and a man of the cloth. No, there's no chance of that happening at all, because it's all come out and being exposed. Now, there are still people still going to the church supporting this Baphomet of a system, the Vatican, which is as corrupt as anything, and it's nothing got to do with religion. It's got to do with money, control, and power, and has been since its inception. But people are beginning to see and beginning to realize the problem is we have to be careful that we don't do. And what's happening with the extreme left is that there seems to be the burning of the witch and the burning of the books is happening. And we're going too far to the extreme, and all somebody has to go, witch, and they're grabbing them and burning them, and you think, no, that person's not a witch and she's not a witch. This is what's happening as well. Whole, especially over here in Ireland, we have people turning around and accusing people of things that they didn't do, and that's defamation of character, slander, and libel. But for some reason, now we have a big case over here in Ireland. Two of the people I know are taking an extreme left person to court for defamation of character, because she's going off on one and accusing them of things that they didn't do. And you can't go around and do that. You just can't do that.
You can. If
look,
in the Congress of the United States, you can do that. It's
that's
fine.
America, but America's different. In Ireland, we have good rules and we have laws.
Oh, that's the difference, huh? Dang, I'm gonna have to move now.
Yeah. No, we do have laws. You can't be going around calling people things they're not. That's not right, because you wouldn't like people calling you something you're not. So it's only fair. So there's a big case going on anyway with that, and but there's too much of a witch hunt going on. And it's good. The pendulum is going to the other side where we should be in the center. But people are going to see there's going to be more and more stuff being exposed. I mean, if you look at the vaccines, for example, science should be challenged, right? Regardless of what's said, there should be two sides. If science is saying that vaccines are safe, then the science should be challenged to prove that they're safe. But there's no proof out there that they're safe. And when people try and talk about it and say, well, show us the proof, they cover it up and not say anything about it, or come up with some stupid statistics which don't apply. So if you can't challenge somebody what they're saying regarding science and the safety of vaccines, then that's a belief system. That's not science.
Yeah.
You know what, going back to what you were saying about the witch hunt, it's actually depressing for me to watch what's going on in American politics now, because President Trump they're trying to impeach him because of a phone call he made to the president of Ukraine. I don't know if you followed this over in Europe, but here's a story in a nutshell. After the new president of Ukraine was elected, Trump called him to congratulate him, and he asked him a couple questions about a prosecutor that was looking into Vice President Joe Biden's son's affairs in a corrupt Ukrainian energy company. He was asking about that investigation, and basically that's all that was mentioned, right? And so now in the United States, we have a so-called whistleblower, but I think it's more CIA operative person releasing false information about this phone call. And what the essence of that is that he claims, or she claims, 8 times during the conversation, Trump threatened to withhold military aid if the president did not help dig up dirt on Joe Biden's son, which is not true, and because we found out directly from the transcripts of the telephone call that wasn't true. President Trump released that transcript. Well, one day before he released that transcript, Nancy Pelosi gets up on national news and says, we're going to start this impeachment inquiry into President Trump's quid pro quo allegations with the Ukrainian president. And then the next day the transcript was released. But by then the Democrats had painted themselves into a corner, saying that we're going to impeach him. So now they've issued all kinds of subpoenas. And Adam Schiff, he's a congressman in the United States, and I think he's the chair of the House Intelligence Committee now. He actually read the transcript of the phone call, but instead of reading it verbatim, he got creative and embellished all kinds of things about what President Trump said to make the story try to fit his narrative. And we've got this kind of goofiness going on in the United States, and it's supported by the corporate-controlled media. They all repeat the same words. One day the talking point might be impeachment, impeachment, impeachment. So they all repeat impeachment one day. And then the next day, the word of the day is constitutional crisis. So all the talking heads say constitutional crisis. What they're trying to do is to, in the minds of the American people, through their corporate control, their massive corporate control through the news outlets, the papers, the radio, TV, Facebook, Google, Twitter, all those, trying to propagandize into the minds of the people of the United States that their president is illegitimate. He's breaking the law, though they don't specify what law. And we have a constitutional crisis. We have to impeach him. Why? Because they know they can't beat him in 2020. Okay. I looked at 2 of his rallies that he had Thursday and Friday night this week, and the places were packed. they set records. He sets records for attendance to his rallies. And I don't know how much it costs to get in, but I guess 25,000 people were outside the Minneapolis when he was there on Thursday night that couldn't get in. And I think he filled the place up with over 15,000 people. And he can do this in the United States, which is very encouraging because it shows that a lot more people are supportive of Trump versus the Democrats, who can only get a couple hundred people at a time to show up for their rallies. So they know they can't beat him in 2020. So that's why they're trying to impeach him. They don't have a strong candidate out there. So if you go with the idea that he's going to be the next president, their game is to get rid of him, to subvert the election process, to get their agenda going. But it's that craziness that you're talking about, Alan, of how people just make stories up and it's like a witch hunt. Well, we're seeing that play out on a national scale here in the United States, and they're going after the president, and he calls it a witch hunt.
Yeah, no, definitely. There is a witch hunt. I know Trump has exposed an awful lot. I am concerned about Trump at the moment because I know that the people I speak to have offered him an awful lot of stuff which would make such a change to America and help America. And he's sitting on the fence and he's not doing anything about it. And I don't know why. They don't know why. Why isn't he taking it? You know, the finances have been offered to him to make such a difference, and he's not doing it. So why isn't he doing it? So, there's still a question mark. Now, I know he's the only president I know that has done so much in the time he's been in, and has done a lot of the promises he made. He done the stuff. So I'll give him credit for that. And exposing the fake news and all that, brilliant. Well done for doing all that. But we just need to push him a bit further. And for some reason, he's just not doing it. And so I just feel there's something else in the background.
Well, okay. So I'm not going to touch that subject because I don't want to go there. But I'm going to comment this way. Look, he's only one guy. Okay. Yeah. He's only one guy fighting the New World Order. I pray for his well-being personally, okay, because I believe that he is genuine and he's trying to make America better, or like he says, great again, and reinstill some kind of national pride. And he's done a lot, but he's only one guy working against the system. So, give him credit and just appreciate the fact that he did it at all, okay, and that he's only one guy. He's got to think about the safety of himself and his family. He's got kids, and he's got maybe Eric Trump or Ivanka Trump standing in the wings to follow in his footsteps, hopefully. But, so he's got to play the long-term game. And so to make radical changes, like to pull out a cereal like he's trying to do, that's upsetting the apple cart. So he can only do so much in so much time.
Oh, no, I totally agree. At the end of the day, he is only one man. But he could do, and he could do more, and he's been offered a lot of help to do it. But he's sitting on the fence with it. But as you say, that's another story. But the whole Pelosi thing, I mean, she's an alcoholic anyway, from what I heard. And she turns up sometimes drunk as a skunk. And they're trying to impeach him, but it's not going to happen because they need so many people to vote, and people aren't going to vote. With his popularity at the moment, it's not going to happen. The Democrats are desperate. They know it, and he's going to get back in. Well, maybe he'll get back in. So they're doing everything they can to try and bring him down, but it's not going to happen.
Even in his rally last night, he was talking about how the elections are crooked. He was talking about voter ID and how that would help keep elections fair, right? And so he recognizes that. He tried the election commission to open up the books to see how many illegal aliens were registered in the United States to vote and who voted. And 19 states sued him. Says you can't look at the voting records for all the states. No, that's secret stuff. And so he tried. And then you go look at this stupid sanctuary city, sanctuary state laws here in Oregon. I think in 2013 or so, We voted to not allow illegal aliens to have driver's licenses. Well, guess what? Our leftist state government this past year overturned that, and now illegal aliens can get driver's licenses. Well, when you get a driver's license in Oregon now, they automatically give you a voter registration card. So guess what? It's legal for illegal aliens to vote in Oregon now. And we can't verify who's voting because we vote by mail. We don't show up at the ballot box and sign our name or anything. We just submit a ballot that's mailed to us. So it's so much fraud here, but he was talking about it last night, how the elections are crooked. And if getting that into the public consciousness, it'll just help in the future so that folks will, fight to get voter ID laws passed in the United States and not let these Democrats just, stuff the ballot box with illegal aliens.
Yeah, totally. Well, just Michael, jump in there. You've been quiet there. What's your take on things?
Well, I wanted to say something about this climate drama that we talked before. And I think this is a completely prank of the cabal to divide and conquer. Because I think it's no decent human being would object. And it's also a spiritual principle that is written in the Bible, to care and to tend. And that's what we have to do. And we don't need a left and a right position to do that. If you care and you tend to the earth, to the forests, that you produce the goods in a way that is harmonious with the environment and that preserves the forests, and that we know that in the past, rampant, scrupulous, ruthless capitalism that is only running for profit has been a destructive element. We can change and correct these things without having a left or a right approach, because the decency of the human being, a clear consciousness, tells you that you should take care of this earth and tend to it. And if everybody does it, what is the issue? So I think this whole thing is a prank, because everybody should have that decency within themselves to create goods in a way that is going in harmony with this world, basically, with this environment, with the cosmic structures, with the elemental beings in this earth, so that we take care of it. That's all I wanted to say to that issue. And I think, why do people have this whole climate issue there? It's to divide and conquer people and to hit each other's head, so the cabal can push their agenda. That's all. But if we have that, it's all a perversion of values, basically. Because if we all decent human beings, I would say, can agree to my proposal, how to create this whole industrial production line of what the people need. You can do it in a harmonious way. And if that's what we should discuss, we can basically today we have means to produce cars that are propelled by water, And this Stanley Myers, for example, he was a fellow that was done in by the Secret Service because he has one engine. He had it ready. So it runs by, I think, 3 liters of water for 100 kilometers. So you can all do this. But unfortunately, people don't wake up to that problematic.
Petroleum companies would not allow you to have those fuel cell cars. What they do is take water, apply electricity, and they separate the hydrogen from the water. And so you burn the hydrogen as your combustible gas, and that's what propels the car. Now, how cool would it be if you just had to go to the faucet and fill up your tank and then drive to work? BP or Shell or Arco would not make millions of dollars selling you their gas. So that's why you'll not see that fuel cell technology in your lifetime.
Yeah, that's
maybe. We'll see. Never say never.
Okay, well, I'm being pragmatic. If I'm wrong, I'll put a fuel cell car in my garage that time.
You never know. We don't know what's around the corner, but we know there's going to be a lot of positives happening. I just feel that changes are taking place for the better. But you know, it's kind of the order out of chaos type of thing. But the system has to collapse to be renewed, and the old way is going. The old way, we're moving away from the old way, and for the new way to come in, the old way has to collapse, and that's what's happening. Things are not working anymore because it's the old way. Well, that's my take on it.
It's really coming to a head. 2020 election here in the United States is going to be a raucous one. I guarantee you it. The Democrats will be in full force mode, trying to destroy every vestige of America. They already hate America. To be a Democrat now means that you have to hate America. You have to hate yourself. White people are taught to hate themselves because they have something called white privilege. So hopefully, some good will come out of that. And I think you're right. They're starting to show their desperation, but 2020 is going to be a really tumultuous year here in the United States, at least.
Oh, yeah, globally, I think it's going to be, in the States. But see, the reason why the States is important is you guys are the catalyst for the rest of the world. So, what happens over in the States has an effect to everybody else. So I think that's why Trump is there, because he's going to be the catalyst to get things moving and get the changes taking place. And then that will hopefully ripple across other countries as well.
I think it already has started.
Yeah.
I think it's already started because, he got rid of the Trans-Pacific Partnership Treaty, which would have put us under this new, globalist control around the, Pacific Rim here. And America would have come out at the bottom of all that. And because of that, America's prospering. And so are other economies, because America's now able to purchase and sell more. So it's just the economic effect is rippling out, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. Michael?
Yeah, well, basically, I would say if everybody, the value of a human being, we should look how developed we are, how our consciousness is developing. That's the quality of a human being, and not whether he's a Democrat or a Republican or who knows what, or a left-hander or a right-hander or a blue lover or a red lover. Human beings should be developed as wise as they are, or they should be evaluated upon the degree of their moral development. That is a criteria which also the Bible proposes. And if everybody is striving for that, we have no more problems. I mean, everybody is busy doing their own little chores in order to perfect themselves and to be better human beings. And that's what we have to strive for. We shouldn't take roles or role plays which are superimposed upon us, but we should really work on our own personal development, and that would take care of the rest.
Totally agree. We need to move into the adult mind, and we need to be dealing with our shadow side. A lot of people who are not dealing with the shadow side and the issues in their life project, and they project onto others, and that's why people get attacked, because they're projecting. They're not dealing with their own inner self and things that are going on in their life. And until they can do that, then they will continue to attack other people. And this is what a lot of people who are on the left side of things seem to be external. They're externalizing everything and attacking and reacting. And Michael, you're right there. We have to go from the child mind to the adult mind, because if everybody had an adult mind in the world, the world will be a much better place, because the adult mind is humility and wisdom. And the ego is taken out of the equation, where the child mind has the ego and the selfishness. And I've spoken about this at conferences, and I've done so many shows, and I've written up stuff on Facebook, and I've talked about this, about getting people to go inside. And obviously with everything that's going on as well, we have to stay in the balance of 45-55. So if you go off kilter 5% either way, to the left or to the right, you can come back. But the further you go away from the center, the harder it is getting back. And this is why at the moment with everything going on, we need to be observers, we need to be in balance, and we need to deal with our shadow side. And once we can do that and become that kind of person, then things that are going on around us, we can observe and we can watch and we can analyze, but they won't affect us, and we don't let them affect us. And that's really what it's about being in balance, and just being an observer. But again, we have to future think as well. Energy is so important. And the problem is that people who don't like using energy can't future think, because future thinking takes energy. So you have to stop what your reactions are going to be, and you have to think about what you have to say and then say it. But a lot of people don't have that ability, and they just react, and chances are their reaction is going to be a negative. And you get people who will say, well, I'm very honest, and I just speak my mind. And you think, and they think that's a good thing. And you think, no, that's just being inconsiderate and lazy. And it's bad manners. You have to engage your filtering system in your brain, and you should future think. You have to stop, take the energy to think, because thinking takes energy. And a lot of people don't want to do that. And then you think about it. And this is kind of true. If you read Dale Carnegie, which is what I have, regarding management of staff and management of people, if you look at the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie talks about this. He talks about, because as a manager, and if you're managing staff, you can't turn around and have a go and call them names, because you'll get pulled up in front of in HR. So as a manager, and I've been there with staff, you have to stop, you have to think about what you have to say, and then say something constructive, but in a way that you're not insulting the staff, right? And that's what we all have to do. We have to become adults, and we have to stop reacting. And when the more you observe this, and the more you watch people, you can pick them out, the people who are reactors versus the people who think about it. And it's a great kind of human observation. You know, there's a lot of people that sit in the park bench and watch people, but you can watch people in the restaurants or in a cafe or in a takeaway or whatever, and you can, or in a, wherever you are. And if you can hear the conversation, you can actually pick up on it. And that's what I kind of do. I've become more of an observer. And again, the people around you, you have to be careful, because if they're negative, they're filling you with negative energy. So you need to take your distance away from them, and have positive people around you. And all these things are all things that all these like Eckhart Tolle and all these people will talk about. They'll say it to you. They'll say that you have to be looking at, because it's your energy that's important. Your energy has to be high. And if you have anything that's bringing that down, you have to take it out of your life. There you go.
I agree entirely with you and Michael. I wanted to add this, though. In order to get your balance or get your spirit alignment and all that good stuff, that's wonderful. But you have to be healthy. And I'll make this suggestion: start drinking more water, less soda pop, and other things. Just purified water or filtered water is really good for your health. And look at eating more organic foods. Avoid the pesticides and the GMO products and the preservatives and the chemicals in the food, because the better fuel you put into your body, the better your body will run. And it then becomes a lot easier for you to be healthier, to focus on the other stuff in life. If you're always feeling rotten because the fuel you're putting into your body isn't good fuel, then you won't have the energy to look at what's going on in the world or help your neighbors find answers as well. So
yeah, totally agree.
Go to my website, nwodor.com. Listen to the podcasts I've done with Dr. Cass Ingram, Lorraine Hurley, or Gwen Scott, or Rima Lebeau. All excellent information about how to stay healthy. Anyway,
definitely. Yeah, your health is your wealth. I know it's a cliche, and your body's a temple. What you put in is what you get out. Totally agree. I did an interview with Dr. Robert Morse there a couple of weeks ago, and he's what's called a fruitarian. And he said that the amount of people he has helped with getting them on a fruit diet, he said, is incredible. And I didn't realize how many people were into him until I had him on the show. And then I was getting emails from everyone going, oh, I listen to him and I have his book and da-da-di-da-di-da. So again, it is a cliche, but what you eat is important, and what you put in your body. As Matt says, we have to be our energy. Any heavy foods, processed foods, is going to pull down our energy. And anything that's fruit, veg, anything that's organic and not cooked is going to give us the energy. So, and we just have to be aware of that.
Yeah. But, we should also keep in mind not to use all the mainstream media, matrix media, as we call it. Get away from that, because they are only there to propagandize and influence your mind and, have a mind control over you. And we have to stop watching TV. That's very important. I mean, the regular TV, right?
Yeah. Totally, we have to switch off the TVs. I personally, when I watch TV, I watch documentaries, or I might watch car repair programs, or programs that are practical programs about, restoration and stuff like that. I don't watch rubbish news. I don't watch any of that rubbish, any of these sitcoms or programs, or any of that rubbish. I like humor, anything that's humorous, because laughter is good for the body. So for me, that's all I watch: humor, comedy, or shows like Wheeler Dealer, or Scrap Heap Challenge, maybe, or any programs that are kind of entertaining in a way that you're learning, building things or fixing things and stuff like that. But all the other rubbish I don't bother with, because that's exactly what it is.
I'm with you. I watch the History Channel, Discovery Channel, the Science Channel, and Motor Trend. Because I like those car restoration. I'm a car guy. I like those car restoration shows, because it takes some craftsmanship and art to create some beautiful thing out of a piece of garbage, right? So I like those shows too. I'm with you. I don't watch those sitcoms. I think it's been at least 30 years since I really watched any sitcoms at all.
I've got into a thing called steampunk, and I don't know whether you guys seen it, but they're called steampunk robots, pipe robots, and I've built a few of them, and I have I designed I had a UFO one for my son, and I had a pipe robot for my partner, and I'm doing 2 others at the moment as well. And anything that's creative, because I think a lot of us have lost the ability. I mean, I'm an IT guy. I think you are as well, Matt. And, I can design websites, and I'm doing a training course at the moment. It's called a full stack web development program, which covers programming and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? If there was no power, all that is useless to me. So I'm involved in what's called over here that we call the men's shed. And the men's shed is a massive movement that's going on. It started in Australia, and now it's kind of really growing momentum, where all men get together and they have their own shed, and we make things. We have the tools, and people ask us to maybe fix things, restore things, or they say, can you make us X, Y, and Z? And we can do that. And it's all about mental health as well, that the men get together, and we, if there's any issues, we can talk about it, and they're not shunned or anything like that. And that's getting to be a massive movement as well, the men's shed. And the fun in that is that you're using your hands. I'm making things. I'm using wood. I'm using metal. I'm using tools. And some of them are hand tools. They're not even power tools. So it's great fun doing that.
Sure, but you can watch these things also on a video channel. You don't necessarily need to switch on TV or something like that. It's just a matter of influencing us with their frequencies. It's even if you watch a rather harmless TV show or report or whatever it is. They are exposing you to their certain frequency emission, right? And that's also something you don't really get until you are sort of in the mind control status. So that's one of the issues which I wanted to point out. Yeah, but we're heading towards the break on top of the hour. So what are the next topics you want to talk?
Well, I wanted to. Oh, you want to wanted to comment on what you guys were just talking about. Or what Alan was saying real quick. We're losing the ability, and I think Michael mentioned this a couple shows ago. We're losing the ability to use our brains and our minds to build things. The most simple tasks, like how do you build a chair or out of wood, or maybe you can make a set of shelves out of wood. How do we do that? Our kids today aren't learning that. They're learning how to be remote controlled jockeys on the couch, and they're terrific at that. I can't come close to being even able to use those game controllers anymore like these kids do. But can they go out and build a desk? No. So I think what Alan was saying is good. It reminds us that yes, we need to have these skills to be self-reliant in case we need to in the future.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. This is it. If the power went down, if you watch that documentary, American Blackout, that National Geographic did, it gave an example of the prepper versus the person who's not prepared. And it's 10 days of no power. Remember, cannibalism kicks in after 7 days, right? That's how quick it kicks in. So having skills, being able to use your hands and having skills and knowledge to do things like build things, to grow food, to look for food, and all these skills, maybe we're the last generation to have them because the millennials don't have them. They'll be completely lost. As Matt said, give them a 3D game with a controller and our whiz kids, but ask them to go and change a plug, and they wouldn't have a clue.
Well, I will advocate this. I'm going to say this real quick, and you can answer real fast, Michael. YouTube is a great resource for learning how to do things. You want to learn how to build a desk, you can find a video for that. Personally, almost any song I want to learn how to play on guitar, I can find somebody teaching that on YouTube. Use that as a resource to learn how to do things. Go ahead, Michael.
Well, I wanted to say that what the cabal is doing is dehumanizing the people, dehumanizing, because they do it. Basically, they put an artificial role play, a prefabricated role play that serves their evil purpose. And they occupy that human program, that natural program God has given, and they try to rip that off, the human development, and superimpose their false program on human beings. And that's what we're facing right now. So we have to reconnect to our own creator-given human program, where we have to use our clear thought, our clear feeling, and our clear action. And if we have control, if we regain control over these three territories, then we have won the game.
True. Yeah, okay, guys. What are the other topics you wish to talk about? Because I would like to mention a specific topic next hour, which is talking about the joint resolution 192 from 1933. That's that is a very major and very important subject which people are not aware of.
I'm interested.
Abolishing the gold standard by Roosevelt in the United States, making a corporation out of a state or a sovereign state of America. This is very important. It's not only important for the US, but it's also important for us in the world, because once you understand what has happened, then you can do something about it. And I was following the discussion in this first hour, and Matt and Alan are using the term person, and this has to do with it. And but I will talk about it in the next hour.
Yeah, well, a person will be defined in law. Right. As there's a difference between a citizen and a person. But we are on the hour. So, Detlev, I know you're going to line up the music there.
Yes.
So, let's just say to people, you're listening to the United We Start Roundtable. It's October the 12th. And 2019, and we're talking about everything and anything. You have myself, Alan, James from Circle of White Light, OIM, Matt Navarro from New World Order. You have Detlev and Michael, and we're going to a musical break, and we'll be back after the hour to talk about more mad things that are going on in the world. Everything and anything, we're going to chuck it out there, and we're going to throw it around. And we'll try and fix the world before the end of the show today, but we'll be back in a few minutes.
Right, with Neil Fox and Sheep.
Join United We Start, a group discussion of activists, bloggers, authors, and other leaders in the independent media to inform and educate listeners in various topics. Join us every second Saturday of the month at 10 to 12 a.m. Pacific time, which is 18 to 20 hours GMT. Join us. We're looking forward to meeting you.
I didn't want to be the one who had to say this, but it's been heavy on my mind. And though you like to think you're one and you're the only, look around, 'cause you're not one of a kind. I'm not the only one who knows or who can see this, but you've been getting on my nerves. I watch your ego say that you're always right, and that fights for this face it deserves. Shape, you've got the messes on your soul, no need to run, no need to hide. You're all just sheep. As long as everyone agrees, you'll be as stupid as you please. You're all just sheep. And anyone with the laptop can supply you with lies. Sheep, you're being led up to the slaughter, and they'll serve you with fries. And here's another who could care less to get the facts straight. He's just another status quo. Behind a microphone, and boy, don't he just look great as he demonstrates what he doesn't know. Sheep, you've got the messes on your soul, no need to run, no need to hide. You're all just sheep. As long as everyone agrees, you'll be as stupid as you please. You're all just sheep. And anyone with a laptop can supply you with lies. Sheep, you're being led up to the slaughter, and they'll serve you with fries. You're all just sheep.
United we start. We explore the new world order, finance, science, health and other subjects in our group discussions of activists, bloggers, authors and other leaders in the independent media to inform and educate listeners on various topics. Join us the second Saturday of the month at 10 to 12 a.m. Pacific Time, 18 to 20 hours GMT. Looking forward to meeting you.
I played professionally for a number of years, so.
Whoa, hey, slow down.
Everybody, we are back here in our second half of the show, and as you see, we've been discussing here in the break, and everybody is still very enthusiastic. But we have some other topics here in the second half, and I think Alan wanted to talk about a subject, and I also want to cover the joint resolution, which I announced at the end of the first hour. So, Alan, why don't you start with your issue?
Okay. Now, the thing is that a lot of radio shows, and mine is no different, we know what the problems are, and we talk a lot about the problems, but there's very few solutions being put out there. We and we go on, and OIM did so many shows. We have over 400 podcasts, and we've covered vaccines and fluoride and all the normal stuff. But Circular White Light is, I want to be different, because Circular White Light Radio, because I want to be focused on solutions. So one of the solutions I'm actively doing now at the moment, and it's so simple. People look at it and go, "Oh, well, that's not going to work." And I think, well, no, has worked, and it's now beginning to work again. We had, I interviewed a guy, and a lot of people might know him, called Ralph Ring, and he was the protege of Otis T. Carr, who was the protege of Nikola Tesla. And Ralph Ring was making anti-gravitational aircrafts in the 50s, and he's an expert on natural law. Now, Ralph was telling me about a job that he got where he was hired to find a solution to a problem. And there was this big government contract that this company got, and all the staff were there trying to find the solution. So as Ralph was an expert in natural law, he went into the new job, and after a few weeks, he found the solution. So we went to his boss and said, "Hey, boss, I found the solution to the problem that you've been looking for." And his boss sat him down and said, "No, Ralph, you don't understand. We don't want you to find it. We just want you to look for it. Because if you find it, then our big contract goes away. And we want that contract, and we want that money. So we want you to go off now and look for it, but we don't want you to find it." Okay? Because Ralph said that when it comes to nature does things very simply. Man complicates things because ego gets in the way. So the moral of that story is that I'm promoting a thing where people donate $1 a month. Just $1 a month. Okay? If you can afford $2 or $3, that's great. But $1 a month. Okay, now if we had, say, 10,000 people donating $1 a month, that's $10,000 coming in. Imagine how many people we could help. Now, we'd be helping the homeless. We could help people pay off their debt. We could help people make, maybe if they're in debt from the mortgage, we could help them there. Or maybe if they needed clothes, or whoever needs help, we can actually help out. Now, OIM Radio, myself and Steve in OIM Radio, we were doing this for years. If we had spare money after our donations, because we had admin costs, obviously, running a radio show, but if we had spare donations, which we did on occasion, we used that money to help other groups, or to help people, or help the homeless. And one of the things that we did on a regular basis was to buy food for the homeless. But one thing, we did a big charity run one time, donations, and we managed to get 210 sleeping bags for the homeless. And then we didn't just say, here's the money, thank you very much. We actively went and got the sleeping bags and went down and gave out the sleeping bags to the homeless because we wanted to be involved in it. And that was all thanks to people's donations. So if people, now we're not asking everybody, you know, because money's tight with everybody. But if you can't afford $1, just $1, then I'm happy to give you that dollar. If things are that hard, because we go to Starbucks and you might buy a coffee, or you might buy a bottle of water, or you might buy a lottery ticket for $5, $6, whatever. So people are spending the money, and the lottery is a tax anyway. So if we had 10,000 people, if we had 100,000 people, we'd have $100,000 coming in a month. There's 300 million people in America. Imagine 100 million people in America donating $1. That would be $100 million coming in a month. You see, we keep looking at the government and looking at other people, you know, especially the government. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? When we can do something about it. But we all have to help. We all have to get involved. And that's the problem. This plan does not need the government's approval. I don't need a license. I don't need to buy a premises. I don't need to have a corporation set up to do this. All we need is the donations, and we take that money and we help the homeless and we help people, and everything can be transparent, where all the money is documented. People can see where the money is going. And we know there's charities out there that have screwed the system. We know that. And we know the CEOs that have paid themselves $250,000 a year. But we're not that charity. I'm not going to be that way. Circle of White Light Radio is not like that. And OIM proved that, because that's what we did with OIM. And I want to continue that on with Circle of White Light. And the listeners are beginning to actually support Circle of White Light and do that. And people are saying, hey, I can afford $1. What's $1? You know, now, okay, PayPal take 40, you get 61 cents for every dollar. So obviously, if you paid $3, then we'd actually get more than $1. But in theory, don't overcomplicate it. Keep it simple. $1, $2, you know, if you can afford that, brilliant. And that's all you have to do. You don't have to get involved in anything else. All you have to do is set up a direct debit or set up a regular payment, either to Patreon or to PayPal. And that's all you have to do, nothing else, because myself and there's people that I'm involved with will help me out to distribute and do all the work that needs to be done. And we will post all the photos up on Patreon and Facebook and everything else on emails, so people can see what we did and who we did it for, and all that will be transparent. And if we did that, just think about that, guys. 100,000 people, that's $100,000 coming in a month. And we can start helping people and changing the system ourselves, not relying on the government. And that's how simple the idea it is. But because that's so simple, people think, but that won't work. And you think, well, why not? But there's no argument to it. You know, I mean, you just have to see it for what it is. $1 a month.
So you're advocating that people donate to Circle of White Light at $1 a month.
Yeah,
good idea.
Yeah,
I mean, good idea. So, I mean, I would make sure that you're legally not liable personally. I would set up a corporation or something like that, so that your charitable, you know, what you're talking about is creating a charity. Here in the United States, there's a lot of laws surrounding charitable work, and so you have to be in a tax class called 501c3.
Yeah.
I'm thinking you'd have to set up something like that for yourself. Otherwise, somebody could come after you and, you know, accuse you of fraud when you have no fraud, and they could start going after you with legally to shut you down. So
yeah,
you want to protect yourself like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. We would if we got enough money coming in, we would set up a registered charity and put everything, you know, and register for tax-free with that. I mean, it'd be the same over here in Ireland, but the process has to start, you know, and this is the early stages at the moment. Now, I know over here in Ireland that, you know, you can accept donations up to €10,000 without declaring them. And donations are donations. It's not a regular income. It's not a business. You're not selling anything. They are just what they are, which are donations. But should the donations start getting more and more, then obviously a registered charity would be set up, and then everything would be put down, and people can check through the company's house and everything else of what's going on and the books and all that kind of stuff. So that goes without saying. That's what I would go down that road and do that. So that's not a problem, because you want to keep everything all above board, but it has to start. So we have to start somewhere, and we like at the moment, because I only recently set up Circle of White Light since March. There's a few donations coming in, but nothing to sing about at the moment. But should that increase to a level that we need to register as a registered business or registered charity, then obviously I would do that. That's no problem at all. So yeah, no, good point. But yeah, that would have to be done.
Well, I think it's a brilliant idea what you have, and it's not only the money; it's the initiative of the people that they become responsible for themselves, that they start something, and that's what governments don't like.
Exactly.
So you have to really make a counter impulse to the governments, and the government would be super fluent. When you are succeeding with your idea, then comes another idea. Then people again take initiative, and so bit by bit the government becomes obsolete, and they wouldn't like it. So they would fight you. They'd be prepared for that.
Well, at the end of the day, I totally agree. They won't like it, but at the hopefully the people will support it and get behind it, because if the people are benefiting from it, then they're going to shoot themselves in the foot if they don't support it. So I mean, there are charities out there that are helping people. So why would we be any different? We'd be doing exactly what they're doing, helping people.
Well, good for you. Good for you. I mean, we need more activities like that in this world. For me, right now, I can't do that here in the United States. I don't have the time and or the inclination. I would be willing to donate.
Yeah, no, that's it. Well, a lot of people will say, look, I can't get involved because I don't have the time, but I will donate because I think it's a worthy cause, and I'll be doing my bit. And that's all we're saying to people. If you can't get involved or you can't do it yourself, then at least donate and know that what you're doing is going to be helping people. So in your own way, you can say, yeah, I am indirectly helping people by making that donation. That's it.
Yeah, I do donate to a worthy cause that I really feel strongly about, and that's a Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. Our good friend Richard Mack is the founder of that, and so I make a monthly donation to that organization because I believe in the great work that he and his cohorts are working towards. I don't have the time to be involved with them, but I at least can donate a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's it. Well, if you even making the effort doing the donation is part way there, because you're, at least if you can't get involved in it, then at least you're making a donation to help it. And unfortunately, the idea is so simple, and I've heard people, when I mentioned this idea to one or two groups, one of the groups starts saying, well, what we can do is, instead of having $1 a month, we'll donate $12. And I said, no, you see, there you go. You're complicating the issue again. There you go, coming in and changing the idea. The ego comes in. Leave it as it is, $1 a month. And have a regular payment in PayPal that takes $1 a month, and that's it. Don't overcomplicate it. Keep it simple, stupid. That's the principle, the KISS principle. Keep it simple. Stop overcomplicating it. And this is what people do. They keep trying to change it. And we're saying, no, just leave it the way it is, because it's simple. When it's simple, it's easy to understand and people can support it.
It's a new spin on an old idea, though. Charity, has been around with us for as long as I guess humans have been around. one form or another. In the church, you give so that you help the church grow and help others, theoretically anyway.
Well, not the church. You wouldn't give it to the church. I mean, I wouldn't give any money to the church. Not the way it is now at the moment.
No. I'm saying, but the idea of it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Has been there for as long as man's been controlled by religion. The idea of giving to a good cause is not new.
No, totally not. It's not new. But the trouble is that a lot of these charities that are set up, the administration costs, like paying directors and CEOs $250,000 a year, which is what we have over here in Ireland. I'm sorry, but nobody is worth $250,000 a year. I don't care who you are. That's your ego. You should be only paid about $50,000 a year. Where are you getting your $250,000 from? And that's the problem. That's why people give up supporting charities, because they see the greed of these people and they go, well, I'm not paying money to that, because they might pay $1 and then only 10 cents of that dollar goes to the charity and 90 cents goes to paying the administration and all the whacking big salaries and the big jollies that they go on. And that's why people get disillusioned. And what I'm saying is, yes, there are administration costs. Of course they're going to be, but nothing like what's been going on there, because the whole idea as a cooperative business model is you restrict, everybody is restricted by their salary. They'll get paid a proper salary, but none of this ridiculous money where you're paid over 100,000 and all that kind of stuff. No, that's all out the window. I don't support that at all. Nobody's worth that money. And then flash company cars, Mercedes and Lamborghinis no, that's all gone as well. It'd purely be, your Ford Escorts or whatever,
Yeah,
well, I think good models is that we have ideas to step out of the system. So our Italian project of New Living Communities, that is something which is really worthwhile to engage money-wise and energy-wise, because we have a different way of life, basically. We want to, again, be humans that live a human life, and we have to create communities to enable human beings to live like human beings and not being part of a antagonistic system, what is the case of today. So I think everybody that has this alternative approach, they should somehow put their energy into this, creating new life models, new communities where they can simply live in a new living situation that will simply make this present system fade out. And I think we should all put our life forces and our energy into it, so the system becomes obsolete in the long run.
Exactly, and that's the whole what's happening now in society. The system is it's all falling apart because it's not working for us anymore. The system, the governments, they're all scrambling around trying to stop free speech, trying to stop various things happening, trying to stop the what do they call it? It's
oppression.
It's oppression, but they can't put the genie back in the bottle. The genie is out of the bottle now, and they're trying to put the genie back in, and the genie is out of the bottle. And people are waking up and saying it. And the whole idea of the vaccines, where people are beginning, the uptake of the flu vaccine and vaccines in general are down because people are beginning to ask questions about it. And that's kind of there. Things like that are the signs that people are at least asking questions.
Yeah, but people should take up responsibility. It's not for free, When you today in this whole companies, I mean, these employees can do all nonsense, and the society has to pay the damage. If you are engaged in such a new model, then you have to take up again how it is cosmically so, also to take up personal responsibilities. So if you do a mistake, that means that also you have to be ready to pay for it. I mean, not in a monetary way, but you have to really face the consequences of your deeds. And that is a realistic approach. And that is missing in today's society.
Yeah,
Indeed.
no, well,
I think we should move along the topic because Detlef had one he wanted to cover, and we're running out of time now.
yeah, go ahead, Detlef.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it has to do with this topic, but we have to understand that the system is the system it is because of some issues which happened in 1933, where the US went bankrupt and was converted into a corporation, a bankrupt corporation. And the gold standard was abolished. So the new money you're talking about, the US dollar or so forth, is not backed by anything anymore since 1933. And this is also the case with all the other currencies. If you switch to the Swiss franc, which is supposed to be gold backed, but it isn't anymore. So the gold has been given to the bankster families, which bankrupted all the corporations, which were states before that. So if you look into that matter, then you understand that we are basically, slaves. And if you want to start building a system on this fake money, on this fiat money, you always have to keep in mind that this money is just a promise. So, I mean, we can make use of it because of the system which is still accepting it. But there will be a time where the dollar or anything isn't worth anything anymore if it is not backed by anything or by something like gold. We know behind the curtains they are working on this gold standard again, but we don't know whether this is happening or not. But since 1933, all eyes went to Adolf Hitler, who was getting into power, also backed by the Federal Reserve Bank and backed by the Rothschilds, because he's someone from the Rothschild family, or he was someone from the Rothschild family. All the eyes went to Adolf Hitler, but the people didn't realize that we all became, or our predecessors became slaves, and we are slaves now ourselves. But we have to keep that in mind, and also the Geneva Convention basically says, the number 2, that we are supposed to get money from the bankrupt states in order to make our living. You wouldn't have to work if this contract, this agreement would have taken place, would be in action. So if you follow this information, which I don't want to get into depth here in the show, but you have to look it up. It's basically a fraud against us since 1933, because some people, some families took over and hijacked the agreement, because they said they take away the gold and we get some fiat money in exchange, and the state, especially the US, will pay all your bills for that in exchange. And it never happened. Right.
What was that called?
The joint resolution. I post the link in the chat
room. Okay, good. I'm going to grab it.
192. And please read this. And please, people who are listening later on also in the video, please follow this up. Also, the Geneva Convention number 2. We are all prisoners of war. All people, all humans are prisoners of war because they actually declared war towards the people, towards the citizen. And this is the basic. And so they are basically are screwing us every day, with billing us for rent, for the taxes, but this should all be paid by the states. This was the agreement, the basic agreement at the time. Okay, I just wanted to mention this, not discussing this with you, because you need to know before we discuss. But we can do this at a later date. We are very much into that here in our shows, which we do in German, also seminars, because human rights are being violated by these banks, families, which are basically agreed upon amongst most of the UN participants. But they are not in action because you and I, me not necessarily anymore, but people are talking from themselves as persons, and the person is a legal fiction word, a description of a fiction, and you are fiction, you are human, and this is something we have to learn. We have to step out of this fiction. And then you are out of the system, and then you can make your rights as a human work. I'm just mentioning this because people forget this. They are not informed about what is there already, what we can use. So instead, I'm not saying the idea of you, Alan, is a bad idea. On the contrary, but if we would use the agreements which were taken at the time and make it get it into use by everybody, then we would live in a very good condition. And so we have to educate ourselves in those terms. And excuse my English because I was into that in the German language, so I have to adapt a little bit into the English thing. But I think maybe you take your time, if you have some, and read into it, and you will be astonished what we could actually ask from those corporate states which we are slaves of. So we are actually sorry.
Oh, go ahead. I had a question though. When you're done
with your question.
Oh, okay. Well, so if you're an advanced student, or maybe you don't, even if you're just starting to get into this, you'll know that the money system is fraudulent. It is not based on anything of value, like Detlef was saying. What do you do in place of that then? What's a monetary system going to look like that isn't based on gold? Because you can't base it on gold anymore because we don't know where all the gold is. It's gone somewhere. You know, there's rumors that there's nothing in Fort Knox. The gold that was in the Federal Reserve banks under the World Trade Center supposedly vaporized. We don't know where that went, right? And when the Chinese wanted to get their gold back from the Federal Reserve, they got back platinum versus gold-plated platinum, basically. So the gold market is really untrustworthy, right? So what monetary system do you put back in its place if you get rid of the Federal Reserve? I think nationalizing the monetary system is maybe your first thing, and then you monetize the value of, I don't know, federal lands, or I don't know. How do you do that? What do you monetize with?
Yeah, Matt, thanks for the question. It's very important. Yes, there is a limit to physical gold, right? That was the problem also by going into bankruptcy, because they couldn't cover their debts anymore by any gold. That was the reason why they took away the gold standard. The fiat money, which was introduced at the time, can be used. It's like monopoly money, right? It's just a bill which is being exchanged, but you have to stick to the rules, to the contract which you made. By, at the time, 1933, they took away the gold, and you had to deliver all your gold and give it to the then still state, in exchange for fiat money. But the fiat money was supposed to be used as paying your bills. But this never happened. You see, they hijacked this agreement. They hijacked the system for themselves. They took away the promise that they would pay all our bills. You see, you have to work now to pay your bills. In addition, and what is happening with all the fiat money? They are basically keeping it for themselves. So they are not delivering their promise. And if they would, then the system would be all right. Then we could live with fiat money.
So basically the fraud is they took humans as collateral and didn't pay the compensation as promised.
Exactly. So that's the springing point, if you want to. So, we have to remember, or we have to get them back to their basic contracts. And this can be done if everybody educates him or herself, so they know what the contract was, the original contract, and that they are demanding this contract to be fulfilled. And once this contract is being fulfilled, there is no more poverty. There's no more slavery. There's no more work as a slave. Because to be honest, even if you earn a lot of money, you are doing most probably a job which is not really the job you would like to have. You can be a craftsman, you can do farming, whatever you like to do after they are fulfilling their contract. Because then it's not your job, but it's your profession. It is what you like to do. You can do this afterwards, once they fulfill their task. And they have taken this away from us. They are making war against us instead, and that is being invented by just a few. So it was meant in a different way. The joint resolution 192. So read into that, and you will see the crime. And then we don't need.
Basically, it's a breach of contract, isn't it?
Yeah, breach of contract, and we don't need any charities after that anymore. You say we don't need anything like that, and it's even not our task then anymore here with Wake News or nwoder.com or OYM or whatever to educate the people. Once everybody has acknowledged what the reason is for our miserable life, and this can be changed, then we can live almost in paradise, and then we can concentrate on our personal development, as Michael is proposing. So that was
okay. So I just pulled it up. I just pulled up from the link that you provided. So it's the joint resolution to suspend the gold standard and abrogate the gold clause, June 5th, 1933, HJ Resolution 192, 73rd Congress, first session. Okay.
That's House joint resolution.
Right. So that's what, if you're going to Google that or search engine that, that's what it is. Joint resolution.
Yeah, I'll put in more links into the because I just started. It's
to suspend the gold standard. I think if you put that into your search engine, you'll come across it. That should be good.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have to. I mean, they try to fraud us. With some publications are not mentioning all parts of the contract, so you have to dig into it. And I have started with other people here in Europe or in German-speaking areas to discover what we have to do. And you also have to study the UN Convention number 2, where humans are being held as war prisoners. The war prisoner status is what applies to all of us. We are all war prisoners. And every police action is a war act against a human. This is also very important. So you have to dig into it, and you have to educate yourself in order to deal with the issues. And once we are all well educated, then we can demand to get out of the breach of the contract and to fulfill the contract which has to be fulfilled by the government, right? Okay, this is all I want to say. It's just a hint towards what we have to educate us about.
Good information, Detlef.
Yeah, that's actually a very big crime, because God has given us a position in the human creation, in the creation as such, which these criminals have taken away and stolen and robbed from us. If you become aware of it, I mean, that's how deep down the grain this goes, and it's really a unheard and outrageous kind of act that happened with the whole of humanity.
Absolutely. And, if everything would work out like they had originally planned, we would have a wonderful life.
Well, can I just add something to that, Detlef?
Yes, please.
The idea of the foundation, and you heard me talking about the foundation before, the plans for the foundation, if they happen, I'm not going to say they will, but if they happen, that's the idea of where the funding is going to be. It's going to be given to the people and the countries for humanitarian projects, and the people who can submit their ideas for a project will be able to hire people for that project, as long as it benefits mankind and humanity. And the idea is for people to actually do the job they want to do, rather than do a job they don't want to do, but have to do to pay the mortgage and pay the bills.
Yes.
Because a lot of people are working in jobs they don't want to be in. Now, the actual currency is really our energy. At the end of the day, it's not this fiat currency that we have at the moment. Yeah. It's our currency is our energy. But until we get to a stage where we don't need money in this Babylonian system, we have to use it because that's all we have at the moment. Sure. But if we can get people into the space of working in the jobs that they enjoy doing, then it's not a job, because if you enjoy doing what you're doing, it's not a job. So the idea of the foundation is for people to submit their ideas, and when the funding becomes available, and that's a different story of what's going on there, but it's a stalemate at the moment. I can go into that another time and update people on what's happening there. But when the funds are released, then people will be able to apply to fund projects, like whether they want to set up an animal sanctuary or an eco-village or a new hospital or whatever. If the funding's approved, then they'll get the funding and they can do it, and they can hire people who enjoy what they're doing. And if, as I say, if you're in a job and you enjoy it and you're getting paid, enough money, not mega bucks, but money to actually pay the bills and make you have a comfortable life, well, then that's what it's all about. So that is the plan. It's just a matter of time at the moment.
Yeah, it's a fine idea, and it's a way to to cover the current situation. But in the end, according to the original contract, on a worldwide basis, the governments should pay us, pay you for your rent, for your, all the fees which you have to do.
That sounds like socialism to me. I'm not so sure I like that idea.
I'd be very careful if the government have to do something, because they never do anything unless they get something back for it. Yeah, the government should be always there as an administration. Then they shouldn't. The trouble is the government they go in and they take people's rights away and they keep taxing us all the time. That's not their job. Their job is to do what the people want.
You see, I'm not talking about an idea. I'm not talking about some kind of future. I'm talking about a contract which was made in 1933. Read it. It has nothing to do with socialism. It's a contract. What did they take away? They took all the gold. That's what they did. And they have to pay you with the fiat money all expenses which are necessary so you can make your living. And and this is understandable because fiat money is being generated out of nothing. So
oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, the printing machine.
Yeah, so there's no limit, and this basically enables us to basically make money not anymore necessary. That's the step. It's an in-between step. So they took away the gold, and contract-wise they said, okay, then we pay all your bills as from now on, because you didn't have any gold anymore. So how would you have been able to pay any bill? So they took everything away, and they gave you the promise of paying all your bills. That's what happened, but they are not doing it.
I don't think you'll ever get this to reverse. The last guy who tried to change the Federal Reserve System
was Kennedy.
They shot him, right?
Yeah.
So
it was just Kennedy. If all the United States people would have known about it, there wouldn't have been any chance to kill just one guy and get rid of this. It's because they are controlling the media. They are controlling the narrative. And we have to change this. We have to educate people about what is there, what the contracts are, and demand to keep the promises of the contracts.
Well, that's one part of it. Yeah, that's one part of it.
But it's just an information which I wanted to put out because it is not being talked about very much. But it is there. It's fact. It is. You can look it up. You can investigate it yourself. And then, imagine if 100 million people in the U.S. would say, we just want you to pay as you promised. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, the Democrats are talking about doing just that now. I mean, you've got this Andrew Yang person suggesting that he would pay $1,000 per month per person in the United States. Well, if you add that up, that's something like $3.3 trillion. You figure you got about 330 million Americans, maybe 350 if you count the illegals. So let's say $3.5 trillion a month. I don't know where you're going to get that kind of money from. I don't expect the government to pay my rent. Look, I can go out and earn a living. I'll pay my own damn rent, right? I'll buy my own stinking car, the kind of car I like to buy. I don't need the government telling me, handing me out money for health care or to pay my mortgage or to pay my car. Yeah, but I could do that on my own.
Yeah, Matt, but you are having an idea in your mind. Who is limiting the payment to $1,000? It's because they just want to do that. They want to control you. But you have to say, I need $15,000 or some need $50,000 a month.
Where do you get the money to pay that from? Where's that money coming from, Detlef? Who's supplying that money?
Fiat money is made out of nothing. It's just being created. It's just being typed into a computer.
Okay, fine. Thank you. No, thank you. I will, I'll go out and make my own living. I don't need government handouts. I'll be all right.
No, you don't understand the contract. Please read the contract first. They took away all the gold because they went bankrupt. They couldn't pay any more bills, the states, right? And they said, we have thought about a new system, which is now called fiat money. And they created the birth certificate, which was there before then, but they standardized it as a birth certificate. You got a number. You have two persons. You have a natural person and you have a legal person, and that's the collateral. And that's being, used as a gold exchange. So you're giving a person to the states or to the system, and they have contracted to pay you all the bills. But you tell them what your bills are, not they. They will not tell you what the bills are. If they start doing that, then they're breaching the contract. You see? If there are people who are trying to take the power, that's what happened, then the whole idea is wrong. But okay, we are in a matter of discussing a contract which was done 1933, not by me. But read it and take advantage of this. Why not?
Yeah, another thing that I wanted to mention is that suppose, all the copper mines in this world, they take out the copper, which is a common good. God has created that copper, basically. So if a company is winning that copper or mining it, so basically every human being has the right, or of that particular country has the right of that copper. So basically that copper, every human being should be getting a share of that copper that's being taken out in the world and putting into the economic system. Not only the company, what the company today is doing is theft, basically.
Yes, they are taking all stuff away from us and not giving us anything. You have to work very hard to get a portion of that, but you're not really being remunerated. Is that the right expression? I don't know.
That's right, John.
Okay, so you're not really getting your fair share. So why don't we get back to the original contract, which was made in 1933, and apply it? And then we can talk about the next step. You see?
I still don't like that idea. I still don't like that idea that the government will pay my debts for me. No, thank you. I'm willing to do it on my own. I like the idea of independence. And if I wanted to become the next Bill Gates, I could do that.
No, the debts are already paid by taking away the gold. There are no more debts.
Well,
talking to you, they are telling you that you are in debt, but you are not. You have made a contract. The humans have made a contract by giving away the gold, and they have the right to.
So what do you want, Detlef? You want them to start paying your rent for you, buy your car for you, pay your light bill? Is that what you want?
Anymore, nothing, because this has all been paid already. It's all done.
So everything's free. Everything's free. You just live. Everybody lives free. Does anything they want.
Yes. Well, according not.
So who? Okay. So if I like that house over there in the corner, and the family living there protest, I can go just kick them out, shoo them out, take their house, and the government's going to pay me to live there.
No, that's not the contract. Your contract is not to take something away from somebody. Your contract is that the government is paying your bills.
Okay, so I want to buy a house. Will the government buy me a house?
If you have a low to be paid budget, then they are paying you what you need. If you have a higher demand, then they will pay you what the higher demand is.
Okay, so I like driving Lamborghinis and Ferraris, and I want a 5,000 square foot house. You going to pay me for that?
Yeah. I don't like to drive Ferrari.
Oh, but I do. Sure. Yeah, sure. I want to drive a new Corvette too. So why don't the government pay me for driving my luxury cars, my sports cars, and buy me $1 million mansion? Fine with me.
You see, the money isn't worth anything.
Yeah, but money
isn't worth anything.
Okay, so but the house is the house is value, the land has value, so everybody should be just asked. I want 1,000 acres out in the Oregon wilderness. Can I get that too?
Yeah, but the basic thing is that humans don't own anything on the earth. This is just an idea of capitalism that some could own everything. This cannot work. You cannot say that somebody owns the world, like the Queen Elizabeth, who is supposed to own 60% of all land masses on the earth. This cannot be. Sorry. The earth belongs to all beings living there, right? But, if you have expenses, then, you have a contract which you can rely on. And you say, well, just fulfill your contract which you made. You took all the gold away from us. Now pay my bills.
Not going to happen. I I would still rather pay my own bills. Thank you very much. I don't need a government handout. Really.
Yeah, you can.
I'll pass.
You can. But, if you look at the contract, why are they not fulfilling the contract? Why did they make the contract in the first place?
Well, these are fraudsters. they want you to feel good about what they're doing to you. So, it's a bait and switch, right? Like they told us income tax is only going to be temporary and it's going to be 1%. Now it's like 35, 30, 50%. Yeah, it's a fraud. And I wouldn't expect them to undo that fraud, Detlef. That's not living in a rational world. Your idea might be good, but look, the reality is we're not going backwards. We're not going there. Abolishing the Federal Reserve System and nationalizing the monetary system might be a good start. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how you back that up so that people have value in the currency, but I would think getting in the Federal Reserve out of private hands and putting back under the nation, like the Constitution says, I think is a good start.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. It's not my idea. Again, Matt, look it up. It's a contract which is based on 1933 worldwide agreements.
America was built on people having initiative to go out and do the things that others weren't willing to do or couldn't do or didn't know how to do. Coming up with new ideas and being inventive. And that's what fueled America's growth. You start having the government pay for everything that you do, then you're stunting people's growth. And you look at what happened in the Soviet Union. I'd rather live in a world where I can make it on my own. I don't need a government handout.
First of all, you are thinking of a government like it is today. Once they are obliged to pay your bills, then they don't have any more power. They are just your source, right?
Okay, so that might work in Switzerland, or that's where you're at, right? Switzerland. It's not going to work here in America.
Well, it has been signed in the U.S. 1933. Look it up. I'm not making up anything. I'm not.
Yeah, but what you're talking about, Detlef, is entirely socialistic. Okay, no, that's not how America was founded. That's not what the Constitution outlines.
But don't blame me.
Every individual has the ability to do what they want with their lives to prosper.
No, Matt, I think we are talking not the same at the same level. You have to just read and study what has been initiated 1933, because we are now slaves of that.
Yes, we are. I agree with that. We went through the Federal Reserve System. I would agree with you.
Why don't we demand that the contract which was made then is being fulfilled? That's the only thing I'm talking about.
Because that's a bad idea. Giving people free money is a bad idea.
That's what a few thought and said, well, we will hijack this and just get it into our pockets. That's what the few families said. And that's slaves now.
Well, Matt, one thing is that God has given the whole world for free to us. He made such a plenitude of the trees, the fruits, everything He gave for free. That doesn't mean that we have to lie in bed 24 hours a day. That we still should become active and agile. But the physical basics He provided to us. And another thought I come back to, I said the copper mine. I mean, the copper is created by God, and if one company takes it as their own and later sells it and puts it through their economic process, that is stealing from the rest of the people. Because copper was not created by anybody. No Mr. Big Shot has created the copper. So basically, copper is a common good. And everybody that lives in that particular country or area has a right on that copper. So basically, it is only just when the company comes and says, we go and take out the copper, we mine this copper, and we sell it, that everybody that lives in that territory has their share. I mean, that's only logic to me.
That would be common for the common good, for the common man. Okay, so you're talking about communism, where everybody shares in the wealth of the country. Communism, look it up.
No, I don't think you get the message right. Maybe
I'm missing the point then.
Yeah, most probably. But anyways, we are through with our show. I put all the links. I mean, there are many more. Some links into the chat forum. And if you want to study this, please do, because then you understand why we are being treated as slaves, and we should not be. We could all be equal. And if you think that is not right, to be equal, on the same level, no human is above another human, so we are all equal. Also, the humans in Africa could live in Africa decently. They wouldn't have to be moved to Europe or the United States if they could live a decent life in Africa. So we could all prosper, not just a few. And don't forget those Rothschilds, Rockefellers, whoever you want to name, they are trillionaires. They're not billionaires, they're trillionaires.
Can I just jump in there very quickly? They don't have any money left. It's been taken off them. It's a long story. That's for another show in another month. But they don't have the money they people perceive they have. They don't. That's gone. It's been taken off. That's why they're selling all their stuff. They're having a yard sale with their land and their paintings and everything else because they have no money.
Okay, that's another story. It's interesting, but I'm talking about something with the contract which you can look up. It's there in written form. Okay, I do thank you for participating. We are about to end the show. Ellen?
Can we give?
Okay.
I want to give closing statements.
Yeah, we'll get closing statements from myself, Alan James, from Open Your Mind Radio and Circle of White Light. If you want to check me out, the show Circle of White Light Radio is live every Sunday, 7 to 9 GMT. Take care, everyone. I'm going to pass around the table for everybody to have a closing statement. Starting off with you, Matt.
Yeah, thanks, everyone. Always a good conversation with all of you, and I appreciate our audience tuning in, and I thank Detlef for producing. I do believe, Detlef, that educating ourselves on this issue and others and how we are enslaved by our monetary system is good advice. I would agree there. And the Constitution of the United States, I think, is a good founding document. To me, it is the most important advancement in all of human history, where it assumes that each person is sovereign, meaning there's no monarch above him. No, there's no other entity above him, not even government. And each person is allowed to prosper as they will, and government is there to protect their rights to be able to do so. I think it's a good foundation, and I think we should go back to living like that, and that would be helpful. For everyone else, go up to my website, nwoder.com. Check out the podcast archive. Like I said, there's a lot of information on how to stay healthy, and we'll see you again all next month at the second Saturday of the month.
Brilliant. Okay, Detlef.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot for listening to these ideas, which are not ideas, which are facts, and the tyranny which is taking place, and the madness of the globalists in order to confuse us and divide and conquer. We will continue educating people here also in the German language, and hopefully this will spread as far as it can. So if you want to visit us, wakenews.net is our website, and wakenews.tv, our video page, where you can find over 17,000 wonderful videos also in the English language. So see you next show will be, as far as I can say, is the 9th of November, right? If everything happens, because, you never know. So thanks a lot. And Michael?
Yes, I would say it was great to discuss things with you guys tonight. And overall, I wanted to say, don't forget that you're a generator of love a generator of clear thoughts, and a generator of clear deeds. And when you communicate, if you become sound in your character, it portrays to the people that you deal with in your everyday life. So if we all work and concentrate that we treat the fellow human beings with love, with respect, and we treat ourselves with love and respect, then the whole world will be a better place someday.
Brilliant. Okay, we're going to pass off to Detlev to finish up. And thanks to everybody for tuning in. The podcast will be available later on, if not first thing in the morning. Over to you, Detlev, to finish things up.
Matt?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Death to the new world order.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
So we will rebroadcast the show right after some music. So see you the next time. Bye-bye.
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 Fighting for freedom. A group discussion of activists, bloggers, authors, and other leaders in the independent media to inform and educate listeners on various topics. Join us the second Saturday of a month, 10 to 12 a.m. Pacific Time, 18 to 20 hours GMT.
Oh, grace and mercy kept me strong, even when I'm doing wrong. I don't deserve it. Grace and mercy, oh Lord, don't take it from me. Grace and mercy keep me strong, even when I'm doing wrong. I don't deserve it. Grace and mercy, oh Lord, don't take it from me. Grace and mercy kept me strong when I was all alone. Friends turned their back on me and left me singing sad songs. It became my friend to someone that's friendless. Took my hand, lead me and show me love and kindness. Love and this kindness give me so much comfort. Made me feel secure when I'm tested for supper. Man, it made me tougher when they let me know how to get over this mountain in my way. I was so messed up, I tell you, so jacked up. I had no one to turn to walk me through. The only one to turn to, the Heavenly Father. The Heavenly Father, He felt my sorrow. I felt like Paul with a thorn in my flesh. When you ask God why He haven't moved in yet, the Lord spoke to me, told me the same thing. My grace is sufficient for you, just maintain. Grace and mercy kept me strong, even when I'm doing wrong. I don't deserve it. Grace and mercy, oh Lord, don't take it from me. Grace and mercy keep me strong, even when I'm doing wrong. I don't deserve it. Grace and mercy, oh Lord, don't take it from me. Even when I was single, trying to live a holy life, sometimes it got rough. I found myself in the fight, fighting with temptation. The lust it presents. At time I lost the fight, I found myself giving in, gave in to a girl. I was sweet, talking to me. She used to tell me, baby, come make love to me. She used to say these things when I'm weak in my flesh. The devil knew I was weak. He used her to tell me. I finally gave in and got between the sheets. Ain't gonna lie, it felt real good at that moment, G. But after it was done and the pleasure was over, I felt real bad. I went and cried to Jehovah. I cried out, saying, Lord, have mercy on me. Lord, please grace me. Would you forgive me? It was so amazing. Told me He forgive me. It was nothing but Jehovah's sweet grace and mercy. Grace and mercy kept me strong, even when I'm doing wrong. I don't deserve it. Grace and mercy, oh Lord, don't take it from me. Grace and mercy keep me strong, even when I'm doing wrong. I don't deserve it. Grace and mercy, oh Lord, don't take it from me. Take it from me, no, no. Oh. won't be here to tell you about it. Grace and mercy, great mercy that you have for me. Mercy, grace and mercy, grace and